What's up, everyone? Welcome back to After the Island. I'm Elizabeth,
I'm Alex.
and we have Nadjha with us today.
Woo, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Being back in the real world it just feels so weird. So it's just like adjusting, dealing with like everything that's social media and all my friends and my family like bombarding me with questions. So it's been a
Oh,
lot,
yeah.
but I'm good.
Yeah, it's
Good.
craziness when you get back. Did you just get back home yesterday, you said?
Yeah, I landed yesterday.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
was your family just so excited to see you?
Yes, my little sister had a volleyball game, so I told her I wasn't coming home. I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna, like, stay in Atlanta, like, I'm not gonna come visit y'all, like, I'll come tomorrow, though," and she, like, tried to act like she was so okay, and then I surprised her at her volleyball game, and
Oh,
she was so excited, so it was nice,
oh,
like, just getting to see them.
Oh
that's
my God,
so
that's so
cute.
cute. I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
amazing. It's good to
Yeah,
have a support system around you,
Definitely.
especially at
for
this
sure.
time.
For
Um,
sure.
Yeah.
this is Elizabeth's favorite question,
It
so
really
I will
is.
let her ask it.
I truly always need to know this, but how were you casted for the show or did you apply?
I was casted by Instagram DMs. So someone DM'd me on Instagram and I literally thought it was a scam because I had no following. Like I was like, there's just nothing special on my Instagram. And yeah, I was like, this is a scam. And my friend was like, I I think it might be for real. Like that's usually how they get people. And so I was like, okay. And I just responded and went about the whole process.
Well, there must have been something special on there because they found you and wanted you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yes, of course. So we saw you come in as a bombshell. Were you nervous coming into the villa?
I was terrified. Like I'm very like, confident and outgoing and I talk a lot and coming in there like completely took me out of my comfort zone. Like I remember I cried for like the first 3 days. I wanted to leave. Like I was like I'm not cut out for this. Like this is not for me.
Oh no.
I was extremely nervous and overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
then, like, after, like, the initial, like, 3 days, like, once I got settled in and honestly, like, once Casa happened, all the girls, like, became closer, and then
Mhm.
I was fine. After that, I feel like is, like, when my real personality kinda, like, comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we
Mhm.
see that too, and that was kind of our next
Yeah.
question was it
We were
easy to mesh with the OG girls when you came in initially?
Um, all of the girls so nice. Like, there was never a moment when I felt like anybody was, like, necessarily, like, being mean, but I would say that, like, to begin with, Kat and I were definitely it was me and Kat.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
us the entire time, like, luckily I had her because if I didn't have her, I would have literally left the show probably. Not even because the girls were mean, it was just, like, it's they already know each other. They've known each other for,
Mhm.
like, a few weeks at this point, and, you are a bombshell, you're walking in to turn a head, and, like, that's already not liked. So, it's hard, and it was
Yeah.
hard to mesh with them, but, like, after a few days, like, it was fine. It was just those initial few days that I was like, "Oh my god, they hate us. They don't want us here."
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
no. Plus, I mean, the way you came in, you were like, "I am interested in Isaiah." So you kinda
Yeah.
picked someone that was, kinda in the hot seat. What was that like?
Right. So, you guys know how the show is. Like, there's so much that isn't shown. Like,
Right.
so much that is not shown. Like, Jeff was my, like, first pick, like, going into it, and Isaiah was my second, and Isaiah was, like, my first for a while, but
Oh,
it was one of
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, like, that's why he was, like, my entree, and Isaiah was my first for a while, but it did get to the point where, we get to watch the episodes before we come in there, and, like, I just knew, like, I was like, him and Sydney, like, I hadn't seen who had gone into the hideaway, but I had an idea that it was them.
Mhm.
And so I was like, they're pretty strong. Like, she's crying about him all the time. Like, I don't think the smartest move for me going in is going after Isaiah, but I was very physically attracted to him. Like, I thought he was
yeah.
very attractive because he is.
Mhm.
Um, and so, like, going in, like, I did say, like, I was like, I'm also interested in like Jeff. And it's just like I felt like the whole like first few episodes is very like zoned in on like me pursuing Isaiah when in
Yeah.
reality, like we really didn't talk that much. And we had absolutely nothing in common. And we talk about that. Like I tell him, like, we aren't alike. Like you like to hike. You will not catch me hiking. I
Yeah,
like
that's
to go out and
hilarious.
party with my friends. You said you were a homebody. So we did have those discussions. And like even one of the conversations that I haven't watched, so I don't know what happens, but I think it's like one of us,
Yeah.
we're like on the balcony and we're talking. We switched the conversation over to Jeff, and Isaiah tells me, he's like, your eyes light up when you talk about Jeff.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, like we just have a lot more in common. And I feel like that all of that was kind of pushed aside in the first few episodes. And it's all me and Isaiah. When in
It is.
reality, like I think we had a total of 2 conversations.
But what confuses me is we see a lot of tears for Isaiah from you.
So that was like the other thing. I get home and like luckily now it was mainly positives, but my friends were telling me they were like, "Girl, it wasn't positive at first." And I was like, "Oh god, like I was so confused because like
Yeah.
I really like made no enemies there. I was so fucking
You're
nice
good.
to everyone like the entire time. Like and I was like, what did I do? Like, why am I hated at first? And they were like, because all you did was cry about Isaiah. And I was like, no, I didn't. Like, what are you talking about? And they were like, girl, yeah, you did. So they like show me a clip of me and Kat and then like one of me and Zeta. And I'm like crying. What isn't shown is that the beginning of the conversation, I'm like, I am so overwhelmed by this experience. I feel like the girls
Oh,
aren't really like being very welcoming. I feel
Mhm.
bad because I feel like Sydney is like hating me, giving me death stares when I'm getting ready. Like she hates my guts. And the entire time I was so respectful of their relationship. I told Isaiah, like, I respect y'all. Like, I'm just telling you, I like you. If you want to give me a chance, that's fine. If not, I completely respect it, and that doesn't matter because I still wanted to explore Jeff also, you know. And I don't know if all that's shown. I had a conversation with Sydney at one point, and she said like, I respect how you handled yourself. Like, you are definitely a girl's girl. Like, and I feel like all of that is like relevant to everyone because all it seems like is like I'm crying for Isaiah when in reality I was crying by how like overwhelmed and alone
Mhm.
I felt.
yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is like no, she's not crying about that. She's crying because Isaiah's like all about Sydney and that wasn't what was going on in there like at all. Like I was upset about everything else and then that was just kind of like the cherry on top. Like of course that's overwhelming. Of course that's upsetting, but that was like
Right.
the least of my concerns and they make it
Mhm.
seem like it's my biggest concern. And like
Yeah.
that wasn't how it was.
I can totally relate to you because that happened to me too, and they made me look like I was crying over some crazy stuff, and I was like, "Well, that's not how that happened."
But
So
yeah,
going
no, like that shit was just the craziest thing to me. Like I was like, that is not what I was crying about. And I even told my friends and they were like, you know, I think like the people at home that knew me knew. Like even
yeah,
my family was
right.
like, we could tell you were nervous going in because you weren't acting like your normal self. And that was like the biggest thing that like I hate that I got so much hate for that because I feel like if it was portrayed more accurately, I think people would have been like, oh, like she's not crying over a guy she's known for 24 hours. She's crying because she's so overwhelmed by the entire process, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And that was like the most thing. And I was telling Kat, like, I was like, I don't know. Like, and when I was saying, like, I don't know, like, what more I can do, I was talking about, like, everyone wanted me to put myself out there. And I was like, I don't know what more I can do. Like, I've already told him I like him. And that's putting myself out there enough. Like, that's already
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone. Like, I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. Like, I already told him. I don't know what more anybody wants from me. Like, that's the most I can do. And that was where all of that was coming from. It wasn't like I
Yeah.
was desperate for Isaiah. And he knows that. Like, he'll probably say the same thing. He'll be like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, she really didn't pursue me that much.
I I think we can totally understand your point of view. Sometimes it's just hard for viewers to grasp that because, they get so enticed with all of the drama and everything going on. And, it's
Right. It's
that's
understandable. I
showbiz,
get
baby.
it. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on this, but you connected with Jeff and you said that you were interested in him coming into the villa. So how did you guys connect? You kind of say like he was your best friend in there. So what was your relationship like before you went to Casa Amor?
So, before Casa Amor, it was, like I said at the very beginning, just very overwhelming. Like, I didn't know how to process, like, everything going on. And, Jeff, like, at one point, it's like, I think the same day that I'm having, like, a mental breakdown in there. And I don't know if, like I said, I really haven't watched anything, so I don't know what is shown, what isn't shown. But Jeff and I have a conversation that day, and I'm telling him how I'm feeling. And he is really my number one supporter other than Kat in there. Like, he tells me, he's like, I get it. I know how you're feeling. I know that the process is overwhelming. And he says, he's like, I know you're like feeling Isaiah. He was like, I respect that. He was like, explore your options. He was just very like, very understanding with me, and I loved that. And it did become like a friend thing for a little bit. Like, I was like, just so I felt like so comfortable around him that in my head I was like, oh, we're on a friendly vibe. Like, it's not anything more than that right now. And we kind of like established that for a little bit. But then the day before, he's like telling me about like how Isaiah was trying to send me home and like how he didn't want to send me home and all this stuff. And like, I think we just like had like a moment, like we were having pillow talk, and it was just like I felt something. Like, I was like, I think there's something more there. Like, I don't think we're just friends. And we kiss, and then the next morning we don't speak, and he's gone. We're just friends. But then last night happened, so I'm like kind of like at a like an
Yeah.
Your
unknown
crossroads,
before
yeah.
Casa
You're like,
Amor.
I didn't
Yeah.
get to debrief this kiss that happened.
Right. And I didn't even get to talk to him. Like, I wasn't like, hey,
Yeah.
like, we just kissed. It was just
Right.
like, okay, he's
Okay,
Yeah.
gone.
bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
So then
Oh,
you end up at Casa and we see you develop a connection with Nick. What was that like?
Um, so I think this is shown like um I'm a very, very indecisive person. Like, I get heat on that, and I'll agree with that. Like, I'm very indecisive, and I'm very like, even in real life, spur of the moment, like I'll meet a guy once and be like, he's everything I've ever wanted. And then like
Oh
3
my
days later, I'm
gosh.
like, yee. Like, actually,
absolutely
he's
not.
really not.
It's so funny to hear that. I feel like I have friends like that.
I'm like that.
I am like that. And I got heat for it. And I remember that was one of the hate comments where I was like, you're right. Like, they know.
You're like, where's the lie?
Yeah, I was like, there's really like they're actually telling the truth here. And I think you see that with Nick because like he comes in and like he gives me so much attention right off the bat. Like, he's like, I'm into you, I like you, I this, I that. And what isn't shown is that Jeff didn't do that with me before. Like, he told me like I'm interested, da 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 da, but it's never like direct the way Nick was.
Mm.
Like, he was direct to the point, like, I'm all about you. Like, he was like, he just gave me a lot of reassurance. And my whole goal with Love Island was to find a connection, like that really was my goal going in there. And I felt like there was something there. However, like, I think the whole time Kat kind of knew that I was like just feeding myself bullshit because I wanted something so bad. And I
Mhm.
think I did do that, and that sucks because, like, there's another person involved. And at the moment, it was like a heat of the moment. I was like, "Oh, I'm into him. I like him, yada yada." But it like very quickly hit me that I was like, "Wait a second. Like, I think I'm just like trying to find a connection so bad that I'm convincing myself I like someone when realistically I don't think I really do."
Did that hit you in Casa or when you got back to the villa?
So it actually hit me like the day of the recoupling. And like,
Yeah.
obviously none of my feelings there are shown. But I'm sitting there, like, doubting him, like, I'm
Mm.
questioning him, like, I'm like, I don't know, like, he gives me very much, like, LA boy vibes, and I'm very much Georgia girl, like, I don't fit into that lifestyle at the moment, you know, like it's just not me. And like that's not how I felt with Jeff. Like with Jeff, it was very much like just it just felt like I was being myself and I wasn't acting like
Yeah.
anybody else. And with Nick, it didn't feel that way. And I was doubting it going right in. But you guys know how it is. You just and it was just
Yeah.
one of those things where I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to recouple with him. Like, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I see Jeff. And that's when, like, I was like, this is not going to work out. Like, I just knew. I was like, this is really going to end bad for me.
What was that moment like when you saw him
Yeah.
walk in single?
That was literally my biggest fear. Like, like I say that in one of my beach huts. Like, I'm like, my biggest fear is that I will recouple with someone and I will watch Jeff walk in single because the entire time, all the girls in Casa, everyone thought he was going to like come back coupled up with someone. So
Mm,
like, and you know, at this point, we're so undetermined that like, if he did, it was gonna hurt me, but like, it was gonna be fine. You know, like I was gonna be very happy for him. I wanted him to find something. But the second I saw him come back, I was like, damn, I fucked up. Like it was instant like regret and then like it was also like instant like I just brought Nick back and I know I'm going to run back to Jeff and like that
mhm.
also sucked because like I said, you know, it's real emotions, it's real people and like
Right.
there's so many feelings involved. So I felt just shitty. Like overall I was just like I just made such a mistake and I should have just cuz part of me kind of didn't think he would come back with somebody else, but I didn't want to like feed into that much. And so
Mhm.
I just went in like I'm going to find a connection. I'm going to like one of these guys and I think when reality hit me that like what I had been telling myself wasn't true, that really sucked. And
Yeah.
it just made me sad.
And we saw the moment where you tried to talk to Jeff that night. He came back and he
Yes.
would not talk to you.
Mm-mm.
Do you think looking back on that moment, it was kind of like foreshadowing a little bit for like what was to come down the road or no?
Um, I think that night, like, I was so overwhelmed by, like, my emotions that, like, I kind of, like, just, like, looked past that, but I do think it's foreshadowing because I think that's just, like, the start of everything,
Mhm.
and, like, right then, it should have, like, kinda spoken a little bit, like, to me on, like, how he handles, like, situations, but to me, like, that night wasn't really that bad. Like, later in the night, he gives me a hug, and it
Mhm.
doesn't show that, I don't think, and he literally is like, "We'll talk tomorrow." And that's why, like, the next day, we,
Uh-huh.
like, just, like, seem like we're so much better, like, kinda out of nowhere
Oh,
because
okay.
we kinda are. Like, we did, like, kinda calm down the night before, and, like, we ended the
Yeah.
night, like, with him giving me a hug and me being like, "Nick, like, I'm so sorry, but, like, you're not sleeping in my bed."
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, was that kinda what was Nick's reaction when we kind of saw it, but what was his reaction when you were kinda like, I like Jeff?"
You know, it was it's really weird with Nick because, like, for a like, he's such a sweet guy, very nice guy, but for me and I remember telling the girls this, it felt like he was putting on a show. Like,
Mm,
one moment, he would be talking to me and being so nice, being like, "I understand your decision," and I vividly remember we're sitting on the couches, and he's like, "I understand your decision, like, everything's fine," and then one of the big cameras comes out, and, like, you because we can hear it, we can see when they're
yeah,
moving and stuff, and his demeanor just completely switches on me. And he kind of starts being like, well, you know, like you, and starts being like aggressive. And I put him in his place. I'm like, no, you're not about to make me look bad because it was to me very evident what he was doing. And like, obviously, I haven't seen, so I don't know how it's portrayed. But like, I just knew I was like, you just went from being so calm, so nice to like flipping as soon as that camera came out. And obviously there's cameras everywhere, but it was like
yeah,
that moment it
yeah.
hit me where I was like, I think you are putting on a show right now. Like I don't even think you really like me like that.
I think I know the scene you're talking about. Were you guys
Yeah.
in the treehouse?
I can't remember. I don't know if it was the
He
couches or
was
the treehouse.
Yeah, he was, like, telling you, like, "You told me that I was everything you wanted and, like, everything I do everything" I forget, but he was, like, listing off the things that you said about him? Is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
I think so. I think so. I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly like the time, but it was just like
Yeah.
he went from being very nice to very like quickly like switching up how he was talking to me, and I was just like, this is not real, I don't think. And that was like, and I think I pop off on him. Like I think he at one point is like, so your feelings changed in 24 hours, and I was like, yeah, they did. Like that's just all I say because I was so fed up with it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, so going off of that, how did you feel when Nick decided to leave?
I wasn't shocked when Nick decided to leave because we had a conversation about it. And
Mm.
he told me, he was like, I you know, like he really confided in me and I was really nice to him. Like I told him, I was like, I get it, dude. Like it's so overwhelming. I was like, I know exactly what you're feeling because I felt like that when I first came in. So I wasn't really that shocked because I kind of knew how he was feeling and he told me he wanted to leave and I told him I was like, there's other girls here. Like it's you know, like you really could form like another connection with someone. And he was like, yeah, like I just feel like I'm not really being like myself. He was very in his head. And I think a lot of it did have to do with the fact that like I think he was scared of Jeff, honestly. Like
I'm
Jeff
done.
was nothing but nice to the guy. Like he was never mean to him at all. But I really think he was just like, I'm scared of this guy. And Jeff like never really talked to him. So I think he just maybe felt like a little intimidated. And I think ultimately it was just like the pressure got to him. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
completely feel that, you know, because I was there the first few days.
Yeah, totally. So, going off of Jeff, I mean, we loved him and watching you guys together was
Mhm.
really, really cute. But were there any reservations in your head where like, oh, about your connection with Jeff?
100%. And you know, I when I got back, obviously you look through the comments, you look to see what everyone's saying. And like by the end of it, you know, like even before like everything happened, it seemed like everyone loved us together. And it was like we
Mhm.
had a lot of like, it was like a lot of momentum, like very quick. Like
Yeah.
everyone kind of went from being like, fuck this bitch to being like,
Oh,
wait, they're
yep.
so cute. Like, and it was like you see that happen. And then you also still see people being like, like I don't think she really is that into him. Like she doesn't really show like her feelings for him. Like it's always him. And I watched one clip, like all my friends were like, all you always would say was like, oh, and then you kiss him. And that is the most accurate me thing in real life. Like I'm really, really bad at like expressing my feelings. And then you have all these cameras around you and it's hard, you know. And
Mhm.
on top of that, I there were reservations and Jeff knew those reservations. Like I had a
Okay.
problem with him getting jealous. I had a problem with how he would talk to me sometimes. And that is never shown until the end. And I think the reason it's shown at the end is because it has to be shown to understand like why I just up and am like, I'm leaving.
Right.
But
Yeah.
throughout our relationship, it's not shown and it was there, you know, like it was very, very much there, but all of the good is highlighted. And I understand because there was way more good than there was bad, but
Mhm.
the bad at the end of the day just overtook it.
Outweighed. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
it
was
just
he
outweighed it.
what was he jealous of? Because
He
we have
was
no idea.
yeah, no, he was very jealous of like the other guys in the villa. Like I don't know if it's, like, shown, but, like, I don't really talk to many of the guys, like, while, like, I'm there because of that reason.
Mm.
It always felt like I was walking on eggshells, like, he was really jealous of Isaiah to begin with. That was, like, his, like, biggest thing, and, you know, that one I understood, like, I got it, like, it was, like, at the very beginning, I did show interested in him, but it just, like, became, like, overwhelmingly a lot, and it was constantly, like, problem after problem with Isaiah, and then there was, like, out of nowhere, Timmy became a problem, and, like, when I tell you guys, like, me and Timmy barely ever spoke, like and if we did, it would be, like, Zeta and Timmy, like, all, like, engaging in
Right.
conversation, and, like,
Yeah.
we were friends, but there was nothing more ever than just a platonic friendship.
Right.
And yeah, like it just got like it was a lot. Like he would get mad about very little things and like get very jealous about very little things. Like he would be accusing me of like who I was staring at with my sunglasses on.
What?
Oh, wow.
And like
Yeah,
it just got to the point where I was like constantly being accused of things when I did genuinely, like, other than Casa, nothing to Jeff. Like the
Mhm.
rest of Casa was like me devoting all of myself to him. And it just like it wasn't he wouldn't believe me.
at this time in the villa, did the other islanders notice these things or no? Was it kinda just between you guys? Oh, they did?
No, no. Other people noticed it too. Like, I mean, there was
Yeah.
multiple days where like he would have like outbursts and I mean like most of them knew it. Like I think maybe like some of the newer like while we were there later, there wasn't as
Mhm.
many like outbursts at times. So like I think maybe they didn't see it as much. But like I vividly remember one day and it doesn't get shown is Sydney we he got mad about something and like kind of popped off on me like across the villa and we're like all sitting in the kitchen and Sydney was one of the most vocal about it. She was like, "Girl, like this is like I don't think this is okay. Like he's
Mhm.
showing like tendencies of like being very jealous. Like you have to think about this like when it comes to being outside of the villa, da 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 da." And so I sit him down and they're like, "You should talk about it." And I remember I sit him down and I'm like, look, like you're just showing me signs of being like very jealous. And I use the word possessive, like that's the word I use, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
outside of the villa. And like that's just like alarming. Like, how do you feel? And that word just triggered
Mm.
Oh,
hit like triggered him to an
yeah.
extent and he popped off on all the like he walked into the kitchen and like went
Oh,
off
no.
on them was like because I had said like other people here are noticing it too and I never named any names and
Right.
he did not like
Mhm.
that and he popped off and was like you guys don't know me like don't talk on my name like all this stuff and like that like and then after that like I remember Sydney being like I'm just gonna stay out of y'all's business and it sucked because like I think
Wow.
really like nobody wanted to speak on it anymore because
Right.
they
Yeah.
didn't want to get like the wrath and like get like
Right.
yelled at or get like you know and that's
Mhm.
obviously never shown and that did
Right.
happen and it was very much like a red flag. It wasn't like I just up and decided like oh one argument and I'm out of
Right.
here.
Yeah.
It was like there was a lot of stuff that led up to that last argument
Yeah.
being my last straw. And you hear me say that to Zeta, I think. And even she like
Yeah.
finishes my sentence for me and she's
Mhm.
like this is the last straw. And
Yeah.
yeah, like it was a lot. It wasn't just that one incident.
We kinda figured, I feel like,
Mhm.
there were signs, and then on top of that, we saw, the parents come in, and then you hear Jeff's dad say that he was iffy. How did that feel on top of everything that was happening?
So, this was like a really like because I watched the last episode, my exit
Mhm.
episode. This is like a really weird episode to watch because his dad never says I'm iffy. Jeff says it. Like Jeff asked
That's
his
what
dad.
I thought.
His dad never said that. Like his dad said, and his dad was so nice to me, and that's not shown
Yeah.
either. Like his dad said, "No, I'm not iffy. I just want to make sure that she like really is all about you." And that's like cut out. And so it just makes it seem like iffy is the word used. And I think that's like the word me and Jeff just continued to use because that's the word Jeff had used. But like his
Mhm.
dad never said I was iffy. Like those he didn't say those words. He just said that he had reservations and wanted to make sure that I was all about Jeff. And
Yeah.
it really didn't make me feel any type of way. Like me and Jeff address it and we talk about it
Right.
and we both come to the conclusion like I'm like honestly like I get it. I was like it was iffy how I acted like in Casa more and then like coming right back to you. Like I was I don't know. Like I feel like maybe I was portrayed like more like a lot differently than I actually was acting with Jeff and like about the situation because like it didn't really bother me. It
Right.
didn't and like there's so many comments saying like that's what made Jeff like lash out was his dad saying that. Like no, that's not what
What Jeff
like
said.
that wasn't it. Like that's not
Yeah.
how it went down and that's not how like what happened.
Right.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, TV.
Wow.
So, what was the buddy buddy comment about? And obviously, now we know that that wasn't the first thing that sparked something between everyone. But can you go through that moment or that entire night
Yeah, because we see you guys break off to discuss who you guys will be deciding who is going home. And that's where it kind of, to the viewers, is where we really see the downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So the buddy buddy comment. So we are, we get split up to, talk. And, it looks like I'm the one that starts the conversation about everything, but it was Jeff. Like, as soon as we sit down, Jeff is like, I have been speaking to Jesse, like he is voicing like concerns with him and Deb's relationship. Like there's a lot that goes on that he talks about, and that's when I like kind of step in and I'm like, yeah, I feel like it's like like I start talking about like Deb and Jesse, and I'm like, Deb has voiced like concerns to the girls too, and it becomes more of like my whole point is in it is, I don't think it's fair that Phoebe and Chad haven't gotten like a fair chance, and I think Deb and Jesse have had their chance, and I love the both of them, but they've been here for so long, and their connection is nowhere near as strong, like to us, what it seems like, as Sydney and Isaiah and Zeta and Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my whole argument going into it. And, we both start going back and forth about how like, regardless of what we vote, we're going to be outnumbered because none of the OG couples are going to turn on each other. Like, and that was just realistic. Like they weren't going to. And Jeff is like kind of saying like, I know, like I feel like it's unfair. I was like, yeah, it is unfair, but like it's also part of the game, like
Right.
Yeah.
we didn't want to turn, like Jeff loved Chad, I loved Phoebe. Nobody wanted to turn on them, like of us. And so realistically, like we were kind of being buddy buddy too. And I guess the comment just stemmed from like us saying that they weren't going to vote one of their, like they weren't going to vote anyone out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting there and we're about to like start, and we had discussed what was going to be said. Obviously that's not shown in the episode because you can't do that, but like
Mm-hmm.
me and Jeff sit there and we talk, and I'm like, do you want me to talk? He's like, no, I'll talk. And I was like, okay, that's fine, because I didn't really want to say it anyways. I was like, I don't want to talk. And he's sitting there and he's like, I'm just gonna say that Jesse has expressed how he's been feeling. He's like my bro in here. He says that he's just gonna say that him and Deb's connection isn't as far as the other two couples that have been here as long. And I'm like, yes, like that's all perfect. And he's like fine. Like he's like a little heated, but like everything's going good. And I
Mm-hmm.
Oh
completely agree
no.
with everything he's about to say. It sucks like saying that about people that are your friends,
Right.
but it was how like we were feeling. And so he gets up and or we're sitting down and the voting is going on, and he's getting like madder and madder as the situation is going. Like I
Oh
can feel
no.
him
Mm.
It's brewing.
getting angrier. And I just knew, like, I was like, this is not about to be good. Like, I just already know this is not going to end well. And we're sitting there, and he whispers to me, he's like, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. And I was just like,
Oh no.
You were like, shit.
Like, oof.
like, I was like,
Okay.
oh no, this is not going to be good. I knew. I was like, fuck. And so we're talking, and it's our turn, and we stand up. And
Oh my
Jeff
god.
just goes on his little rant. And obviously, I don't think the whole speech is shown, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he just is going on about buddy buddy and this and that. And I don't know if he says in his speech that he thinks uh Jesse deserves better. And like I don't agree with that. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
never something that I agreed with at all. And so it just escalated. And by the end of it, you see the blow up.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why Timmy thought it was so directed to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't show this in the episode, but I kind of it like Jeff thinks I didn't stand up for him. I did at one point in the fire. Like I'm like, Timmy, like I don't think his comment was like directed at you. I think it because I thought it was more directed at the girls because the girls are so close. I
Okay.
never felt like he was directing it to the guys. but I could be completely wrong about this. And I
Yeah.
say that, and Timmy kind of is like, Nadjha, come on, man. Like, it was directed at me. You know how he is towards me. And I was just kind of like, I didn't even know y'all didn't like each other. Like, I have no idea what's going on here. And yeah, I think it just sparked everyone. Like, it just pissed everyone off, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you feel when Jeff got upset that you apologized to Timmy? Was that kind of like you were at your wit's end?
Or
I
you had
just thought
already
it
hit
was
it up before there.
ridiculous. Like, I
Yeah.
really thought it was so outrageous. And it doesn't show, like, I didn't have the chance to come comfort Jeff. Like, we come out of the dressing room to say goodbye to Phoebe, and he's already like back turned at the bottom of the stairs. It wasn't like I went out of my way to comfort Timmy. Like, I don't even think I comforted him. Like, I just
You
said
just
I was
apologized.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like a moment of opportunity. Like, Timmy walked by me. So I look at him and I'm like, I'm sorry. Cause you could tell he was upset. Like, he was very
Mhm.
angry and he was just like trying to keep it composed. Cause like they had just gotten into this altercation and it was kind of like we were just being forced to act like everything was fine for a few minutes while we said goodbye to them. You
Right.
know, like, they can't get rid of those feelings. They're pissed
Mhm.
off. They're guys.
Mhm.
And so as he walked by, all I said was like, "I'm sorry." And I think I like rubbed his shoulder, like I was like, "I'm sorry." And he kept walking and like said like, "I'm done with this," or whatever he says. And Jeff, I see his eyeballs
Oh no.
like darted at me, and I'm like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh no, this is not gonna end well." And he starts like I couldn't even hear what he was saying at the bottom, like when he's saying like "fuck
We
her," like
assume
all this. I
we
couldn't even
assumed
like hear
you
that.
when he
Yeah.
said fuck
And
Nadjha.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there like I just can tell he's pissed, and I'm like, dude, he's not about to get mad at me for apologizing.
Yeah.
And then he walks by me and makes the comment about like if that's who you want in bed, and that comment, like, honestly, even like the fuck you, fuck her, whatever, like I could have probably overlooked that. Like, it's so disrespectful and it's degrading, but I could have overlooked that. It was like, if that's who you want in bed, I'm like, my family is watching this. My little sister is watching this.
Mhm.
My friends are watching this. Like, how are you going to disrespect me like that and make like such an accusation that has no merit, no, like,
Yeah,
it was
just
just
kind
like
of
a
Yeah.
low
random. Like,
blow and it was
yeah.
degrading,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And so I was like upset. I was mad. I was like, there was a lot of feelings that I was feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
Did you get to talk to him later that night, or did you just kind of like go to bed annoyed and then woke up and talked to him and
We didn't
decided?
speak at all that night.
Mhm.
Like, after that, like, we did not speak. I went to bed annoyed. He went to bed annoyed, and we didn't get to talk that night. And honestly, I didn't want to talk to him. And
Yeah.
like everyone's
Yeah.
saying, like, she should have comforted her man. Like, what they don't understand is that when Jeff is mad, he needs space, and that's what I've
Mhm.
learned from our other arguments we've had. When he gets mad,
Mhm.
he needs like his own
Yeah.
space to cool down. So no, I wasn't thinking like I'm gonna go try and like give him a hug or tell him everything's okay, because for all I
Yeah.
knew, he would have popped off on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I just thought I was doing what was right by just like sitting back and kinda letting him do his thing, and, like, maybe I should have had his back more, but, like, I did stick up for him in that fire pit and say, like, "I don't think he was directing the comment at you,"
Right.
and that's never shown, and it's also,
Mhm.
like, it puts me in a really hard position, like, these girls
Yeah.
are my friends,
I think the
and,
entire
like,
thing.
like, the
Sorry, go ahead.
guys are my friends, the girls are my friends, like, I'm in the middle of an argument between the guy that I like and am coupled up with and, like, everyone else in the villa, and, like, that does put you in a really uncomfortable position, like,
Mhm.
regardless of
Yeah.
anything, it just makes it very awkward, and these are people that I'm about to be spending the next few days and having, like, all these intimate moments and sharing so many special things with them, like, who wants to have that awkward tension around something
Mhm.
that's gonna be so beautiful, you know?
Yeah. It definitely feels like it was unfair to you, that all of this was happening
Yeah.
and we felt bad watching it, that kind of felt like your experience kind of got robbed at the end, and that you had to go through all of that. And, we definitely like feel bad. Like that's no way to kind of end out something that's supposed to be such a positive, fun experience for you. And also, we even felt for Phoebe and Chad, because their whole exit was kind of ruined by this meltdown that was happening. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was just such like it should have been like such a happy, like sad seeing Phoebe and Chad leave, but like they were okay with leaving, like they weren't going to be devastated regardless.
Right.
So it was just like a big ordeal that could have been so small.
So
Like
much
Jeff could have just
lighter.
gotten up
Yeah.
there, said who we were voting for, said why, and we would have been in the finale, like it would have had such a different
Yeah.
outcome. But it was just like that last blow up really was like it wasn't once, like
Yeah.
I think some
Right.
people seem to think like, oh, she just
No.
dipped. Like,
No.
no, it was an accumulation of things, and like I felt so bad for everyone else involved. Like it should have been a happy moment saying bye to Phoebe and Chad, and then it should have been a
Right.
happy moment for all of the other Islanders that had just made it to the finale, which is such an accomplishment, So many
Right.
people would
Yeah.
die to be there, and we got to be there, and it felt like it just sucked.
How did you come to say the words like we need to leave? Like, because I feel like that takes a lot of guts.
So I remember like that night I was like sleeping or I was laying in bed and I had like my eyes closed and I was like really upset about how everything went down and I was upset how like about everything that had happened like up to this point.
Mhm.
And obviously like the viewers don't see that, but it was a lot, And so I think like once you hit your breaking point, you hit your breaking point. Like
Yeah.
regardless of how great something is, like you eventually can't like keep taking something. And I just remember I had a moment where I was thinking about my little sister and she's like me and her are very very close and like she really looks up to me like even when she shouldn't she still does. And I remember just being like I could not imagine if she knew this and if she saw this on television and just saw me like sit there and take it and just be like, it's fine, just to be at the finale to what have the
Right.
chance of winning some money, having the title that I won Love Island. Like, I never gave a fuck about that. And I wasn't gonna like, yeah, it's great, it's awesome, but like that's not what I was there for.
Yeah.
And so I just remember being like, I can never let her think that it's okay to get treated this way, and I'm gonna do something about it. And that's when I just kind of had it set in my mind that I wanted to leave. And I talked to who I needed to talk to about it, and I pulled Jeff, and I just told him how I was feeling, and
Yeah.
multiple people have asked about like the I feel robbed from my experience because it's like at the
Mhm.
beginning of like the
Yeah, and
episode,
then
but
it's
it's
not
not like in the
shown.
episode. And I do tell him that. Like I just say like it just sucks because I was so excited for all of this and I truly did just feel robbed of my experience. I felt like a lot of other people were robbed of their experience and it just sucked.
Yeah.
How did he react? Was he like, "Yeah, I agree, we should go"?
I think see, and that's why, like, whenever I got out, like, one of the first persons I wanted to talk to was him, is because like,
Yeah.
I could just feel that he was holding back because of all you have so much pressure with all those cameras and, like,
Mhm.
going through essentially a breakup on camera, like, isn't easy, like, it's hard. So,
And that was a very hard
Yeah.
breakup. Like,
It
that
was
wasn't just like a
no.
breakup.
no, it was
Like
hard.
night
It
and
was
day.
so
Yeah.
hard. Jeff, was yeah, like, with all the pressure of the cameras and stuff, I think he kinda, like, shut down with it, like, he didn't really say much, like,
Mhm.
he didn't, like, really try to, like, fight for me, he didn't really try to be like, "Okay, that's fine," it was just more kind of like he was listening and taking it in, and, like, he said,
Yeah.
"I felt like like, you were the one, and, like, it just sucks that we're ending this
Yeah.
way," and, like, he really didn't say much, like, you don't
Mhm.
see him say much in the episode, and that's
Yeah, we
because
don't.
he really didn't say a lot, and I could tell that he had a lot to say, but, like, I just think he didn't want to say it,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, he didn't take it badly or anything, like, he was just kinda, like, over it at that point. I think he was over, like, Love Island in general.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think one of my questions too was when we saw you guys saying your goodbyes, we didn't hear Jeff kind of like apologize for any of the behavior or the actions that we saw. Did he to any of the Islanders and maybe we didn't see it or no?
No. He didn't apologize. I even remember, like, whenever I don't think it shows, like, me in the dressing room, like, after everything. That's, like, when all we were I was talking to all the girls and stuff, and even I
Mhm.
think it was Zeta. I can't remember exactly who it was, so I can't say it
Yeah.
was her, but one of the
Yeah.
girls was like, "You know, I don't think I ever heard an apology."
Mm.
And, yeah, there really wasn't one. He didn't apologize to me. He apologized to me now. We've talked, and he's
Okay.
apologized to me now. But, no, at that moment, like, you don't hear an apology because there wasn't one.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. So when you guys were walking out of the villa, what was the because in the villa that you feel it in the air when something's going down or the tension, anything. What was it? Was it like solemn while you guys were walking out? Because you kind of just did it in the middle of the day.
I think everyone was shocked. I
Mhm.
think, you hear Timmy, like, tell Jeff, like, "Man, I didn't want this to be the outcome," because, like, I just think everyone was like, "Oh, like, this is for real, like, they're leaving." And, yeah, it was like it was just, like, very obviously, they're cheering when we leave, but, like, it
Mhm.
was you could tell it was just, like, sad, like, I think everyone was just like, "Damn," and, a lot of people were rooting for us in the villa, like, I know a lot of people were rooting for us outside of the villa, but, like, everyone loved us together, like, I
Mhm.
don't think was
Mhm.
anybody there at any point that was like, "They don't need to be together," like, people saw, like, what we had when it was great, and so I think it was just, like, a sad moment for everyone, and it was a sad moment for me and Jeff,
Mhm.
and he made jokes as we were leaving, and I don't know, I just felt like we were both true to ourselves the entire time, like, he's Jeff, and he will always be Jeff, and, um, he ended it on that note, kind of.
Yeah, totally.
When you guys left, how long was it afterwards before you 2 were, like, in contact, and who reached out
Mhm.
first?
It was I don't remember what day we left because you'd never know what day it is,
Yeah.
and I had to,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
stay at, like, our hotel afterwards, and we didn't speak there, like, we weren't allowed to see each other, and we didn't have our phones. So I think the first time we spoke was Sunday, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken. It was whenever I got my phone back, and, I had DM'd him and I just said like, "Hey, like I just feel like we still like have like stuff to talk about." And the reason I DM'd him is because one of my friends was drunk the night before and like went off on him in
Oh,
his
shit.
DMs and was
Oh
like,
my
"You don't
god.
treat my girl that way," like da 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 da. And I was
Oh
like,
my
"Oh
gosh.
no,
Did
like
he read
oh
it?
no." And so they have been DMing, and Jeff was like, I was so good to her, like I did get jealous at times, but like I was about her, like all this stuff. And they were sending me the screenshots. So I
Oh.
DM'd
Oh
him and
my
I was like,
god.
"Hey, like we still have stuff to talk about." And he was like, "Of course." I was like, "I'm on my flight and I won't be home for a while, but like here's my number." And he texted me and he was just like, um, apologizing and just saying all that stuff. And we ended on like a kind of unknown note. And I did tell him, like, I was like, "I don't think our like chapter is closed." And he was like, "Why do you
Mm.
mean that?" Or like, "What do you mean by that?" And I was like, "Jeff, because like it's not like everything in there didn't happen to me. Like it might seem like, okay, we're back in the real world, like, but like everything I felt for him was real. And every emotion and like everything he told me in there, like I took to heart. So you're going like I can't just and I think some people want me to like never speak to him again or be like, "Oh, I'm done." And like, part of me does think like maybe that would be the right thing to do based on like just everything that happened, but like I really care about him. Like he means a lot to
Yeah.
me and he's very special to me. So I can't say I'm just going to walk away from that cuz that's not what I feel in my heart.
Right. And I feel like, as you said, all of us were rooting for you guys, and it was so unfortunate to see, but what came out of it, I think, was we all got to see your true colors and how well you handled the situation, took it into your own hands, and you were I mean, like, I respect the hell out of you for walking out of there with your head held high, and I think the entire America, all of America feels the same way.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
So
Thank
I think
you.
that
Thank
you should
you.
be very proud of your experience and the way you handled the situation.
Oh, well, thank you. That means so much. And yeah, it's been so great, like just seeing like I've gotten so many messages of like girls being like, man, I wish I would have had the courage to do that when I started seeing the red flags. And it is great. Like I'm glad that even if I didn't end up with like Jeff at the end of it, like I sent such a strong message to like so many girls out there and just
Mhm.
so many people in like relationships and like that's, like, the best thing, like, I don't give a fuck if people didn't like me at first, I don't care what happened throughout the season, like, just the fact that, like, I stayed true to myself and I ended on a note that was so like, that is, like, so just true about me and how, like, I am as a person
Mhm.
that I don't really care about anything else, and I'm, like, so thankful that it was, like, shown in that light, and it didn't make me seem like I was some crazy person just leaving the show,
No,
Not at
not
all.
at
and
all.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
So,
just really happy with everything.
yeah, on a lighter note, let's talk about
Okay.
some of your favorite memories, like your best friends in the villa. Give us the
Yes,
funny moments maybe we didn't see.
of course. So my best friends in the villa were definitely Kat was my, girl going in. Like I love her. She is just such a light. Like she's just so amazing, so beautiful. I would literally like I remember the day she left, I was so sad because we would all stare at her do her makeup because it was always just so flawless, and she
So
sat right in
perfect.
front of me, so sometimes I would just, like, look at her and be like, "Oh, you're just so beautiful." And so she was definitely my best friend, and then Phoebe, like, I feel so bad for that girl because when I tell you, like, I don't think anybody in that villa will have maybe 1, maybe 1 or 2, but, like, aside from that, like, y'all, she was the goat in there. Like everyone loved Phoebe. Like even Sydney, after everything, loved Phoebe. So
Yeah,
I hate that she's like getting so much hate and so much backlash. And like I said, I haven't watched everything or
yeah,
anything really.
Mhm.
So I don't know anything about that. But dude, Phoebe is a dope girl. Like she really is. I feel for her. Those are like the two girls I was the closest to in there. Guy wise, obviously Jeff was my best friend like throughout the entirety of the show. And who Chad is hilarious. He's so weird, but like
really?
in the absolute best way. Yes. Like he's
Oh, yeah, that's
so
hilarious.
goofy weird, but it's so funny. And I
That's
really
so
love
funny.
Joel. Joel is
Joel,
just
Joel's
we liked
and
great.
then the
Joel a
queen, like
lot.
everyone was so great, but I'm not gonna lie, like I think if there was one person's approval I wanted in that entire villa, it was Zeta's.
Oh
I
my
think we
gosh.
all
She
want
is
her
Yes.
that bitch.
approval.
She is a queen, and she was just like a top tier human, honestly.
So did you vote, by the way? Or were you like, "No, I'm so biased, I can't vote."
No, I was traveling all day Sunday. Like I had like a red eye flight, so I was like traveling all Sunday, didn't get back till Monday. So I didn't even get to watch the episode.
Oh, you have to watch it. It's cute.
Yeah,
But
I would have 100% voted for Timmy and Zeta though. They deserved it.
yeah,
I love to
we
hear that.
we love them. We want to do fast facts with you. These are just a fun little game. Whoever comes to your mind, just blurt it out. Are you ready?
Okay,
Okay. Messiest person in the villa.
Sydney
The
and
funniest
Jeff.
Islander? Oh, yes, we've heard
Jeff
both for those.
and yeah,
Do you think Jeff was the funniest Islander as
Jeff
well?
is for sure the funniest. Yeah,
Best cook.
Chad.
Ooh,
Oh.
best smooth talker.
Best. Timmy swerve.
D-swerve.
He's gotten 100% on that one across the board.
Yeah. Best kisser.
My boo Jeff, duh. Like he was my boo during the whole time. I was kissing him all the time.
Oh.
Who do you think is someone that's playing the game? Or that was?
Mm, this is messy boots. Someone playing the game. Fuck. I'm trying to think of all the Islanders. Like just like anyone that I thought was playing the game during my time
Yeah.
there.
No,
No,
like
at all.
anyone.
At
Anyone.
any
You can name
point.
anyone.
Oh, anyone at all?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all. Maybe like Val? I don't
Ooh.
know. Maybe. I don't really know. She wasn't in there that long, so I didn't really like know if she was, what she was doing.
That's the first we've heard that.
Wait, no. I take it back. Someone playing the game, Chaz.
Okay.
There we
sure.
go. That's what
Chaz,
we got a lot of.
100%. Yeah.
Who would take the money at the end instead of splitting it?
Chaz. No. Nah, I'm gonna probably stick to him.
Do you think Phoebe would have kept the money?
That would just be such a savage move.
She's so savage.
I think she really did like Chad. Maybe if she would have like been with somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't think with Chad.
I would have loved to see that.
I know, same.
Who is the most spiritual?
I always saw Chad praying before every meal.
Okay.
So I would probably say him. I don't know if other people noticed that, but I noticed that he prayed before every meal he had.
Wow. Okay. That's cute.
Who's the boldest?
Phoebe.
Yeah.
Who takes the longest to get ready?
Courtney.
Oh my God.
100%
She also
Courtney.
gets the 100% on that one.
Yep. And the longest to get out of bed.
I think Jesse or Timmy. I think. I can't remember, but I know Jesse was always in that bed.
I'm dead. Someone said like old man Timmy. They called him old man Timmy or something.
Yeah, it was one of them. I knew that both of them like would lay in bed for forever.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So funny.
Well, I want to know what your sign is.
I'm a Cancer.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay. Good to know.
I like that.
That's everyone always wants to know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Can you let us know your socials and where everyone can find you? Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. This is your time. Drop it.
Yeah, for sure. My Instagram is
Okay, so we are dropping Nadja's socials for her. Give me a second because
her volume decided to go out right at the very end of the interview, but she's still here with us, and we will let you know.
Smiling and waving like the queen.
Smile and wave.
So you can go follow Nadjha on Instagram. I'm going to spell it for everyone. NADJHADAY.
Yay! So everyone make sure to go keep up with her on all her socials, see what she's up to.
Send her love.
Yes, and leave us some comments down below from this interview. Please like the video, and we can't wait to see you guys next time.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you,
Nadjha.
Nadjha.
Queen, we love